Hello, welcome to Soulprint Insights. My name is Cyndy, and I'm so glad that you're here. You are part of an amazing community of people who are giving and loving and who are going through periods of self-discovery or spiritual awakening. Most, in fact, all of us really know pretty much everything there is to know. But what happens is we forget to remember. So when it comes to our spiritual quests, we kind of end up in that state where we actually don't remember what we already know. We don't remember the knowledge that we brought with us at our birth. And that's part of the community that you are with, and that is fabulous. I'm just going to take a quick second to thank each and every one of you for your support of Soulprint. The channel is growing, and I could not be more proud of the viewers and subscribers I have that are continuing to move this channel forward. So today I want to talk about something. Every once in a while on the feed, I get a comment and somebody says something like, oh, I don't know. Exaggeration. I wouldn't mind seeing them getting buried in honey and ants. Okay, I don't know. You just say things that are mean, okay? And then it's always followed by the statement, well, that's not very spiritual, or I really have to work harder on that. And I'm here to tell you that those feelings that every one of us feel about all kinds of situations, about that are frustration, even anger, they are disbelief in some cases, just confusion, all of those feelings are really, really important because they are your kind of barometer of, one, your moral compass, right? If you're getting really angry about something that is absolutely not fair, well, that's telling you that your moral compass is working and that it is the correct response to be annoyed or angry when things are going on that could easily be corrected and they're not being corrected, okay? And these days, it really does feel, with everything that's going on with 19, that the frustration and the fear and the anger are ramping up because with every new number, every new statistic, it is getting so serious and so scary. And if you try to deny those feelings, honestly, it just doesn't work. It is not that you are supposed to stay in a state of perfect spiritual zen. That ain't life. It's just not, okay? What you are supposed to do is feel the feelings. And you know what? This is the thing. It doesn't matter if it's a positive feeling or a negative feeling. It doesn't matter even if it's sort of a benign feeling, so typically we don't get stuck in those. But what happens is, if you don't allow yourself to feel it, that just builds up and builds up. The goal is to feel the feeling, acknowledge it, recognize the lesson or the message that it's giving you, and let it go. Release it. Because the easiest way for us to just sort of get stuck is to stay in an emotion. And we all know, some situations are incredibly, incredibly hard to get over, and people will grieve their way through them. And eventually, they come out of the place that they're stuck in, okay? They come out of the sadness or the anger or the disappointment or the feelings of abandonment or all of that multitude of issues. It is when you actually feel the feeling, that's when you start the healing process, okay? And very often, those of us who are healing from trauma or, real disappointment in our lives, what actually happens is we get so trapped in the emotion of it, of the hurt, the betrayal, the insult, that we don't actually allow ourselves to feel the emotion that is underneath those emotions. And that emotion is hurt. We are in pain. But instead of just allowing ourselves to feel that pain and, have a good cry or punch a pillow, or whatever it is we need to do, we need to feel the hurt underneath, because if we can feel the hurt, we can then let it go. And we can then move away from the shock, the abandonment, the disappointment, the trauma. And I'm not trying to simplify something that can be incredibly, incredibly hard and difficult. But the point I'm making is that those feelings that sort of spiritually don't feel positive, they don't feel right, there's a reason that you're having those. That is part of your internal messaging system between your higher self, your heart, your mind. Those feelings are absolutely how we define ourselves in many, many ways. So when you get angry or frustrated with a situation or a person, and frankly, in this whole self-isolation situation, that could actually happen more often than not, right? Because in a lot of cases, you have people that you maybe don't spend huge amounts of time with on a day-to-day basis, like, maybe somebody's out working or they're doing hobbies or crafts or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden you're now stuck together in the same place. And for others, it can be overwhelming feelings of loneliness, because the people that would come to visit, the people that you would go out to lunch with, the ones you would go see, everybody is in their own space now. And so again, that amplifies sort of the feelings of loneliness. So it's best to feel them and then just let them float away. So, and that process of feeling, recognizing the feeling the feeling, acknowledging what it's telling you, processing through it, and then releasing it is actually part of what is called staying centered, right? You'll often hear people talk about, listening to your center or staying in your center. That's really what they're talking about. It is about living your life sort of in the moment. Because if you're in the moment, you are neither dwelling about in the past, nor are you worrying about the future. You are simply in the moment. And not surprisingly, Masudius had something to say about this. So I want to share with you the channeled work from Masudius about getting centered and staying centered and why it is so important. So here we go. Question: why is it important to get and stay centered? Here we go. Finding your center. Hold on, I have to find a way to. Sorry, I'm ill-prepared, obviously. Okay, here we go. Finding your center. Being in touch with it is one of the foundations needed to live your life in an awake state. I'm going to repeat that whole sentence. Maybe the third time's the charm and I'll get it out all proper. Finding your center, being in touch with it, is one of the foundations needed to live your life in an awake state. It is important to make and keep that connection because this is one of the main ways to stay in touch with your inner self, to understand better who you are, what direction you are moving in, how you feel, and respond to your environment. You are an ever-evolving creature of infinite creation. You are not stagnant or set. You are continually taking in new informations. Emotions change to reflect constant and continual energy shifts. Your awareness both widens and narrows in reactions to shifts in your perceptions of your circumstances and your surroundings. Like the sea, your own body is filled with water. The same, yet you too are always in motion, breathing in and out. Your mind is always aware and active. Your senses are continually taking in stimuli and processing informations. You are energy, and energy is always in motion. It is the very nature of being alive. Now, ironically, it is in the quiet and stillness that you most often are able to find the messages you are energetically sending to yourself. These messages are vital and necessary as they communicate to you the information that guides and governs your response to all that is impacting and influencing your thoughts, feelings, and actions. It, of course, is your thoughts, feelings, actions that are the building blocks for all that you manifest. Remember this, all that you make manifest is your life. Finding and staying centered is really just about hearing and honoring self. It is about knowing yourself and actively choosing the path of your life. In the day-to-day hustle and bustle of life, it can be all too easy to react and respond in automatic ways. Not really paying attention, not being centered, just automatically behaving the same way in the same set of circumstances. The unconnected kiss or hug goodbye. The disconnected eating. The instant verbal response. How are you? I'm fine. Is everything okay? Of course it is. Sure. Great. I'm fine. That's what they're talking about. It can be easy to call in your life. And so sad and unfulfilling when you do. That's why we fight and work to stay centered, to be centered, to get centered. Because that is what connects us to the things that we wish to create in our environment. And those feelings, negative or positive, literally tell us what we do or don't want in our environment. It tells us how we wish to behave, how we wish to be treated. It tells us what works for us and what's going to work for us. One of the easiest ways of finding center is to be still. Now, I am including in this walking meditations. So people who garden and just sort of, float away somewhere, and they're just really focused on what they're doing, and their thoughts are centered on that, and they're not really thinking a whole lot of other thoughts, or they're taking the opportunity to really get clear on something. People who paint often find themselves sort of in that same state. So there are all kinds of ways that people can find their center, even when they're not exactly still, but when they're doing activities that sort of create a stillness internally, if you will. Now, stilling the body is relatively easy. It is stilling the mind that can prove to be more of a challenge. So we all know that feeling, right? We're trying to meditate and our brain's all over the place. Or, we keep circling and circling. We keep hashing over the same thing over and over and over again. That is an indicator, first of all, that you're stuck, and that you need to really just stop, feel the feelings, look at the emotions, get through it, and then reset, okay? Get unstuck. Be still. Concentrate on your breathing. Feel the in and out. Slow down. Let your thoughts float away. Soon, you will connect with your essence. In that moment of connection and stillness, you have found your enlightenment. This is center. This is you connecting with the divine and your highest self. This is the place you can actively feel, reflect, and listen. With gentle practice, you can and will carry this connection with you as you awaken and re-engage with your life. Sort of like a split computer or television screen. You will be able to have an awareness of both your physical reality and your emotional and spiritual response to that reality. You cannot get through life not feeling your feelings. It doesn't work. In this way, you are connected. Your response to each moment is your truth. With this truth, you can then really appreciate that which you have and mindfully adjust that which you would like to change. It has been said that prayer is the asking and meditation is the listening for an answer. In most lives, there is too much asking and not enough listening. Remember, the moment that you start to justify or explain is the very moment you have disconnected. Because now you've activated your mind, your brain. You're no longer in your feelings anymore. And that is the signal that you have forgotten your divine. We remain at this time studious. Again, part of the deal with Masudius's messages is that they're so simple. They're not fancy English. They're not using fancy words. They're simple, simple messages. And because of the simplicity of them, you often have to reflect on them several times to get all of the little treasure nuggets that are buried within the words. So, I thank you for joining me here at Soulprint. I'm so glad to have you here. In these difficult and trying times, don't ignore your feelings. Feel them and release them. You will find yourself in a much healthier and happier place. Until next time, stand in your strength and stand in your light. Stay safe.